Okay, let's get started, everybody. Hello, my name is Teacher Michael. Um, I'll be taking the every second week, so it'll alternate between Teacher Brendan and myself.
Hello,
So
Teacher Michael. Hello, Mr. Michael.
What was that, Mary?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello to you.
Oh, hello. It's nice to meet you. Okay. So while Teacher Brendan's going to be teaching you all the strategy and how to write your arguments, how to structure your arguments well, I'm going to be teaching you guys more of the performative side of debates. So I'll be teaching you about things like your body language, how to use your voice when you speak, um, and other things like what to do with your facial expressions and what to do with your hand gestures as well. So we've got lots to cover. So I thought we'd begin. Let me share my screen. I'll get a whiteboard. Okay. Now, who can tell me something that they know about debate? What's something that you know about debate and you can share with the class? Susan.
I know that debate we have two sides called the affirmative side and the negative side. And mostly we have three reasons to support our argument.
Very good. So sorry, I cannot write
Sorry,
and have a
teacher,
conversation at the same time.
Sorry, teacher, I'm late. I went to my teacher's house to eat.
Very cool. Hello, Ken.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late.
Okay. Susan, you mentioned that there were uh, three reasons to support an argument. Are you able to tell us what any of those are?
Pardon?
You mentioned as part of your answer that there are three reasons to defend your argument. Can you give us any of those?
I don't know.
No worries. And I just thought I'd ask. That's okay. But very good. So in a debate, we have two teams, the affirmative team and the negative team. Okay, so just to finish Susan's point, so we've got two teams, the affirmative team and the negative team. Now, the affirmative team agrees with the topic or the motion of the debate, and the negative team disagrees with and argues against the motion. Alice, yes. What's something that you can share with us about debate?
A debate has three speakers is first speaker, second speaker, and third speaker.
Very good. Each team has 3 speakers. Very good, Alice. Thank you. So each team has 3 speakers, and each speaker has an important job to do. So very good. Now, just before we go any further, a couple of important definitions that I want you guys to learn.
Sorry, teacher. Well, what is affirmative team?
Pardon, Mary, could you repeat the question? Oh, the affirmative team.
Yeah, I want to ask what is affirmative team?
Okay, so the affirmative team is the team that agrees with the topic of the debate. So when you are affirmative, that means you agree. And if you are negative, that means you disagree. So that's just another way of identifying the teams, whether they agree with or disagree with the topic of the debate.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, a couple of important words I want you guys to learn is that instead of calling them the affirmative team, we want to start referring to them as the proposition. And instead of calling them the negative team, we want to call them the opposition. So these are important definitions that you need to know those 2 words, because they actually, that's what they actually call them in debating competitions. So yeah, just making sure we're calling the affirmative team the proposition, and the negative team, we're calling them the opposition. Quinn, did you have something that you wanted to share with us about debate?
Well, I know that the time for each speaker, the limited time for each speaker to say their, say their idea, their opinion of the motion of the debate is around like 1 to 2 minutes.
So they get a little bit longer than that. So, but you are correct that each speaker does have a specific amount of time to deliver their arguments. So in most debating competitions, where is it here? So in most debating competitions, I apologize, I cannot talk and type at the same time. So most debating competitions will give speakers somewhere between 4 and 7 minutes to deliver their arguments. Now, this might seem like a long time, but trust me, once you get a few good arguments written and you've worked out a team strategy to win the debate, those 4 to 7 minutes can go by like that. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about with you guys is Asian Parliamentary or AP format debate. So AP format debate is probably the most popular format of debate in competitions. And the good thing is that everything you guys have told me fits within the rules of AP debate. So we have two teams. So we have two teams of 3 members. And that is the proposition or the government versus the opposition. So the confusing thing about this is that even though it's called Asian Parliamentary, which means the parliament, the people in the government talking about the laws of the country, the AP format is not actually used in government or parliamentary debates. It's only used as an academic form of debating or a competitive form of debating. So if your high schools have debating teams or your school has a debating team, chances are that they will be competing in AP format debates. So we've got the rest of it is all the same as well. So the affirmative, the proposition agrees with the motion, the opposition disagrees with the motion. You're usually given between 4 and 7 minutes to deliver your speeches. And then at the end, so at the end of the debate, each team will also be given somewhere between 2 to 4 minutes to deliver what they call a reply speech. Sorry, it's quite hot in Australia today. Need to drink lots of water. So yeah, each team will be given somewhere between 2 to 4 minutes to deliver a reply speech. Now, a reply speech is each team's chance to talk about what went well for their team in the debate and what didn't go so well for their opponents. So I'll write this down. Okay, so the reply speech is each team's chance to mention what they did well and what their opponents did poorly. So let's say one of your speakers just delivered their arguments perfectly. They were very convincing. They had lots of evidence. It just went really well. So in the reply speech, that speaker would mention how well that speaker did, or if their team challenged a lot of the other points made by their opponents, then you mention that. You say, oh, well, we had an argument for every topic they brought up. We had something to say, no, they're wrong and we're right. That would be something you'd mention in the reply speech because it gives you one last chance to convince the judges that your team deserves to win. And the reply speeches, sometimes they have been enough to completely sway the judge's decision. Like they were going to vote for one team, but the other team's reply speech was just pointed out so many good facts that the judge went, yeah, they're right. That team wins. So it's important to treat your, what am I trying to say? It's important to treat your reply speech with as much importance as you give to the speeches you make during the debate. Okay. So we'll go over this in more detail in a later class, but I just wanted to give you a basic rundown of how these debates work. Now, because they are quite structured, we have a lot of rules that need to be followed in order for us to debate properly. So the first one is the order of the speakers. Give me just a moment. Okay, so we see here the order of speakers in an AP format debate. So the proposition team will always go first. So their first speaker, and then the first speaker of the opposition team. And then the second speaker for the proposition team, second for the opposition team. And same for the third speakers. Now, the reason that this is so important is because by alternating teams, we give them the chance to break down their arguments even more. And so when you have one speaker from one team, then from the other team, you start getting these really interesting clashes of ideas, lots of challenges being raised, and it just creates a lot of really interesting conversation around the topic. Susan.
Is it fixed to show like when do we keep the reasons and the rebuttals and the like our opinions, Mr. Archer?
Is that in regards to the reply speeches?
No, it's like, is it fixed when do we get the rebuttals and when do we speak the reasons
Okay, I understand.
their opinion?
Yes, so I'll talk more about that in detail in a later class, but to answer your question now, so if you're given 7 minutes to speak during a debate, you need to work out how much time you want to give to your rebuttals and how much time you want to give to your own arguments. So a good rough idea might be you might spend 1 minute introducing yourself and the arguments you're about to make. Then you might spend 2 minutes on rebuttals for your opponent's arguments, and then you use the remaining 4 minutes to deliver your own arguments. So yeah, the rebuttals come during your actual speaking time. And to finish that off, however you want to put them in there. So you can talk about your rebuttals first, or you can put them at the end of your speech. That's entirely up to you. D has asked a question. How come the proposition team always goes first? So I'm trying to remember the answer to this. There is actually a reason why the proposition team always goes first. It's actually to do with
I
what
know,
am
I
I trying
know.
to say? It's actually to do with law courts. That's it. Lawyers, trials, and courts of law. It's actually to do with that. So a debate is pretty much a debate is pretty similar to a trial in a court of law. It's just without the consequence of someone maybe going to jail or getting in trouble. So we treat it similar to that. So the proposition team, or who are they? Yeah, the proposition team, I say, would be similar to the prosecutors. That's it. So they open because it's up to them to prove. Sorry, it's up to them to prove their case right. So they get to speak first. And same, they also get to speak last because they get the final word to try and convince. To try and convince the judges that their case is right, that their side of the debate is right. Whereas the opposition, they're like the defense. So they don't have to prove that they are right. They only have to prove that their opponent is wrong. Now that will make more sense in coming weeks. Okay, so that's the basic structure of an AP debate. Now, we're going to play a little game for this next bit, so I am going to need to hear from you guys. So we're going to play a little game, the differences between a debate and an argumentative conversation. So I'm going to write down a fact or a rule about debating, and then we're going to discuss what we think might be different if we were just having an argument with a friend or a family member about something. Okay, so a debate is a structured conversation. So certain people get to speak at certain times for a certain length of time. But when we have an argument with somebody, what's different about that from a debate? Susan, what do you think?
So I think that an argument, everyone tries to speak the most.
Very good. Very good. Very good. So a debate is a structured conversation. An argument features people trying to talk the loudest and the most. Very good. Okay, so in a debate, we have a rule called no ad hominem attacks. And what that means is that if your opponent says something that is wrong or you think is silly or stupid or dumb or something, then you are not allowed to say something like, my opponent said this because he's stupid or he's an idiot. So you can't say bad things about your opponent. You can only criticize their argument if if there's actually a problem with it. However, in an argument, what's different about that? Quinn.
Well, in an argument, I usually see that in an argument, an opponent, one person might try to attack many people at the same time.
Might try and attack more than one people. You
Yeah.
can do that in regards to a debate argument. However, if we're looking for opposites here, so in a debate, you can only attack your opponent's argument. But what sometimes happens when you're having an argument with somebody? What might you say to what might you say to somebody during an argument?
I see the yeah, I don't know that one.
All right, thank you very much, Quinn. Let's try Susan. What might you say in an argument that you're not allowed to say during a debate?
I think that people can like criticize each other and they include like aggression attacks, ad hominem attacks, and maybe even
Very good.
if they're too aggressive, they can even like physical attacks.
Very good. So
Nhanh nhìn đến cái cận xăng thì đổ luôn, bây giờ về là vòng ra để chết.
very good. So in an argument, people may be aggressive and criticize each other. So if Susan and I were having an argument, she might say, "Ah, your hair looks stupid," or something like that. But in a debate, I'm not saying you have said that. I'm just using it as an example. But in a debate, you're not allowed to attack your opponents, only the things they say that might not be factually correct. Mary.
I want to ask, in a debate, you cannot like swearing your opponent, right?
No. So a debate, because it's what we call a formal conversation, that's just another way of saying a serious conversation. So during a debate, you are not allowed to like get angry and yell and scream and swear. You will lose points for your team if you act like that. So yeah, very good. I'm going to make a note of that. So in a debate, you must control your temper and your language. In an argument, you often lose your temper. Okay, very good. There was one more. It's just jumped out of my mind. There's one more example that I want to try with you guys. Very good, Quinn. That's called turning into an animal or behaving like an animal. Now, just for a quick a quick little notice that I have to make with this. I'm not endorsing this behavior or saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm just pointing out the differences between a debate and what an argument could possibly be. Okay, so when you're engaged in a debate, you have to prepare your arguments ahead of time. You have to develop a strategy. You have to develop a plan of attack. How is your team going to deliver the best argument to win this debate? But when you're having an argument, what often happens? People don't often prepare what they're going to say ahead of time during an argument. What do people do during an argument? Who has an idea? Quinn, were you raising your hand there?
Yeah.
So what might people do during an argument? During a
Well-
debate, they prepare themselves.
In an argument, well, they might put some blood heightened words that they just thought up in their head and not even thinking about what they're saying.
Very good. So during an argument, people often just say the first words that pop into their heads. They don't often think about things, and that's why sometimes you might hear them say something quite mean or upsetting because they haven't thought about it. It's just popped into their heads and they've just "Bah!" and come out and said it. So during a debate, we want to avoid that at all costs. So we will prepare our arguments and develop our strategies ahead of time. Okay. Very well done so far, guys. Now, one of the most often asked questions I get, or two of them, so the two questions I get asked most often in these introductory lessons is one, why should I learn to debate? Oops, spelled that one wrong. And two, what real world skills can I learn from debating? Yes, Susan, do you have a question?
Please, Teacher Michael, can you try and get the paragraph that you already written down the chat, please? Because I haven't write it on all in my notebook.
Oh, the last one we were talking about?
Yes, please.
No worries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I'll leave that up for a couple of more minutes, but I'll talk about our next topic and then I'll put some notes down about it. So, first of all, why should I learn to debate? And the answer to that is that it teaches you many important skills that you can then take forward into the rest of your lives. So, and that's whether you want to go and work for somebody that owns a business, you'll need to do a job interview. Debating will teach you valuable job interview skills. You might be somebody that wants to own a business one day. So, it doesn't matter whether you want to be a big multimillionaire that works in a big building, or you want to own your local landscaping company. You'll need skills like this to be able to run a business like that. As well, if you want to become a scientist or somebody that needs to think to earn a living, then debating can teach you very valuable skills like critical thinking, research skills. There are lots of valuable skills that you can have, that you can learn through debating, I should say. Okay, Susan, yes, do you have a question?
Thank you, Teacher Michael. I have already screenshotted the paragraph, so you can change to another one now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. Mary, yes.
Can debate make me to a less hot temper? Can I like control my temper after the debate? I kind of hot tempered.
That is a very, very good question. And give me just a moment to think so I can put my answer together. So I want to give you a good answer for that question.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. So I will say, in the long run, yes, learning to debate can help you control your temper if you have one, because learning to debate requires that you learn to research. It requires that you learn to think critically, which means don't just believe the first thing that you hear. Do your research and find out all of the facts so that you can make a smart decision. So by learning to do that, yes, you will definitely definitely help teach yourself to increase your patience. Because sometimes finding those right answers can take a long time, and it doesn't help you find those answers if you get frustrated and you start getting angry. So yeah, very much so. It will help you to learn to control your temper if you have one. I'm just going to put some notes up on the screen here, guys, and then we'll continue the conversation. Okay, so these are just some of the skills that I can think of off the top of my head. So the first one we've talked about is critical thinking. You can learn the ability to tell the difference between good and reliable information and bad, untrustworthy information, and make important decisions based on the best information available. Another one is research skills, and this is the ability to locate and use good, reliable information. You'll learn public speaking skills, such as posture and body language, and what that says about you. So, for example, did you know that people that are more confident and believe in themselves more, they will actually have better posture. So that means they'll stand up taller, they'll puff their chest out, they'll look proud, they'll look like they know what they're talking about. But people that are very nervous, people that don't believe in what they're talking about, they'll try and do what they can to make their posture smaller. So they'll try and tuck their chest in, hide it away. They'll duck their head down. They won't make eye contact with you. All of these sorts of things, they can tell an audience or a debate judge a lot about what you're thinking, what you're feeling. So the ability to, the ability to at least know about and be able to attempt to control these different parts of your body language. So even down to your facial gestures, your hand gestures, and how you use your voice. All of these things are very important, and that's for all communication. So whether you're talking to your friend or your mum or your dad, or whether you're talking to your boss at work, or if you're the boss, an employee at work, your teachers, like you need to be able to talk to them all. So understanding these body language and vocal skills, those will become very important for you. Can anybody else think of any skills that they might learn from debate? Or are there any questions you've got about debate that I can answer for you? No. Okay. All right. So the next thing the next thing I do want to go into some more detail with is body language. So we just discussed it. So we'll try and we'll find a way to turn this into a game or a conversation where you guys can chime in with your ideas. Okay, so first of all, body language. It's the science and understanding of human movement and what it communicates. So, for example, I'm going to give you the same bit of news in two different ways. And I want you to see the difference in my voice, my facial expressions, and I'll try and use a hand gesture as well. So my news is going to be good news. I'm going to think of some, okay. So my good news is that my friend has won the lotto and he's going to take me on a holiday around the world. We're just going to go traveling all over the globe together. So, the first time, oh my God, my friend just won the lotto and he's taking me around the world. Like anywhere I want to go, anything I want to do. I'm so excited. So that was number one. And number two is, I just found out my friend won the lotto today and he's going to take me around the world and take me anywhere I want to go and anything I want to do. I'm so excited. So you see the difference there between those two deliveries. The first one, I tried to be a bit more excited. My voice was a bit higher, so I wasn't talking like this. It was, it's going to take me anywhere I want to go. So see how it sounds a bit higher up? Sounded a bit more excited versus the second delivery where it was very flat. I was looking down. I didn't sound happy. So those are the differences you just saw through my facial expressions and through my voice. So we break body language down. Okay, so the first one that we were just talking about, and we'll actually do our breakout session on this topic, is vocal modulation. So it's the control of your vocal qualities and the impact that has on your speech. So the three main aspects to vocal modulation are pitch, tone, and volume. Sorry, pitch, pacing, and volume. So pitch is your voice high? Is it neutral or is it low? So we all know what we sound like when we talk normally. So will we keep our voice at this tone or at this pitch? Or do we need to talk a bit deeper because it's more serious? Or do we get to talk a bit higher because we're excited about something? So that's the pitch of your voice, and you can control that and use that to deliver different messages. The next thing that we have is pace. I said, yeah, pitch, pace, and volume. So pace is the speed that you talk at. So are you really excited and you're talking really fast because you just can't wait to get all the words out? Or are you a bit more serious? So you're slowing it down to make sure they hear every word. You can control how fast you talk. And so, for example, if you're giving a really important piece of evidence during a debate, you might slow down a bit to make sure that the judges hear everything properly. And finally, we have volume. Are you speaking really loudly? Are you talking at the top of your lungs? I won't yell on the microphone. But are you talking really loud or are you talking really quietly? So you can control all of these different, these three different factors in any number of combinations, and you can really change the sound of your voice and change the message that you're delivering. I'll give you guys a little interesting fact here just to show you why this stuff is so important. Okay, so only 7% of your message is actually delivered through the words that you use. So what that means is that the other 93% of your message is all delivered through your body language and your vocal modulation. So 55%, over half of your over half of your message is received through nonverbal cues. So your posture, are you standing up tall and are you confident? Are you shrinking away, trying to hide yourself and because you're very shy? Are you expressive through your hands? And do they match what you're saying? And the other and your facial expressions too. Do you look happy or sad, angry when you're delivering this message? And the other 38% is of the information received is through the vocal modulation. So what we're just talking about now. Yes, Tuan An. Okay, so as well as vocal modulation, we've also got posture. So I like to think of posture as the art and science of achieving a confident demeanor by standing up straight. So yeah, basically the better your posture or the straighter your spine is, the more confident you appear to be to everybody else. And the more or the worse your posture, the more you maybe slump down or yeah, like slump down and just let your spine bend and compress. That shows shyness, perhaps weakness as well. So when you're speaking in a debate, it's very important to consider your posture and the message that that's sending to your audience and to the judges. We've got hand gestures. So we've got hand gestures, which is the science of communicating, sorry. Should say communicating emotion and information through your hands. So your hands, and again, we'll go over this in more detail, your hands actually can communicate, and this is excluding sign language, but for most humans who can hear and speak normally, they use their hands to express emotion and sometimes information. There are 3 different ways that you can do that using your hands, and we'll go over those in a later lesson. And facial expressions, I like to think of as the science of understanding people's emotions by reading their faces. So I won't talk about micro expressions, that's off the topic. But yeah, so if you're talking about, for example, if you're debating about a topic that is controversial or upsetting, maybe it makes you angry. You want, so normally when you get angry, your face will kind of contort up and look angry. I can't remember the specifics of it right now, but yeah, so you need to try your best to be able to mask that so that you can come off as somebody that is calm, collected, and delivering their arguments. So being able to understand all of this body language stuff will greatly enhance your ability as debaters and as public speakers. Do we have any questions about body language before we move into the breakout room exercise? Okay. So I'm just going to put the 2 topics for our breakout room activity today. Okay, so if you all just have a look in the chat box, I've just put a message there with 2 options. So when I put you into the breakout rooms, which I'll do shortly, we'll divide each breakout room into half. So half of the students in each breakout room will talk about topic 1, and half of the students in the breakout room will talk about topic 2. And what I want you to do when you discuss these ideas, you get to decide what you talk about. It just has to be either on topic 1 or topic 2. So everyone will be given 1 or 2 minutes to prepare what they want to talk about. And then after each student speaks, I want you guys to engage in a conversation with everyone in the breakout room and talk about whether you think the speaker, whether their tone matched the topic they were talking about. So did the people talking about something happy, did they sound happy? Did they look happy in their facial expressions? And do the people talking about topic 2, do they look serious? Do they sound serious? And so, yeah, we just want to offer constructive feedback about what they did well and what they could improve on when they're trying to communicate those emotions or those feelings. So does everybody understand the task? I'm just writing the rest of those instructions in the chat box here. Okay, so we have the instructions there, and we have the two topics. Bao An,
Teacher, can I go to the toilet?
yes, of course you can. Okay, guys, so give me just 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to assign breakout rooms. So anybody here that is a TA, could you please put a capital T and a capital A in your name in the conversation so I can find you, please?
Teacher, what is TA?
A TA is a teaching assistant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to do the breakout rooms now. Oh, terrific. All right, I'm just randomly selecting students to go into each breakout room. I should be done in just a moment. Okay. So we've got our tasks. We've got our instructions. And I'll give you guys 25 minutes in the breakout rooms. And then we'll come back and we'll have our, we'll do a little bit of a summary at the end. All right, here we go, guys. There should be one TA in every room. Have fun. Okay, everybody. So that wraps us up for the end of this lesson. But before we go, who wants to share with us some of the things they noticed as they were listening to their fellow students speak? Who has a finding they would like to share with the class? No one. No one has anything they'd like to share. Yeah, did anybody not get a chance to speak in their group time? Just raise your hand now and tell us all something that you noticed about the other students who were speaking. Very, very quiet. All right, then. So I'll post your homework task in the Zalo group. Teacher Brendan will be back with his next lesson next week. And I'll take you guys again in 2 weeks' time. So I'll see you all when I see you next. Thomas. Did you have something that you wanted to say, Thomas?
No.
The house would like me to unmute.
Oh, bless. All right, then, guys. I'll see you all next time. I'll post your homework in the Zalo group. So until your next class, guys.
Goodbye,
Have a good
teacher.
weekend, everyone.
Goodbye, teacher.
Later.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Michael,
Enjoy your weekend.
I have one thing to tell you something.
Okay, go on.
Is that SMG4? Declan? You watched that?
Pardon?
You don't. Yeah, that's from some. It looks very familiar.
It's a crazy Super
That's
Mario.
Yeah. I remember it's like it says was